dilating a figure. All right, so we've already done 2 or 3 other videos on dilation for this week. So dilation is just one of our 4 transformations. We have translating, moving things side to side, up and down. We have rotating, which literally is what it sounds like. We're rotating it around, spinning it around. And then we also have reflection, which is just the idea. You're looking at just my hands here. So I can take my hands and I'm pretending like there's a line right here and I'm going to reflect my hands right over that line. So they're opposites of each other. Okay. And it's a lot like, mirror image or looking in the water. It's backwards. Well, dilating is the one transformation that changes the size, not the shape, but the size of a figure. So to dilate something means to make it larger or smaller. And you may have heard of the word dilate as far as like your eyes dilate. If you look at the pupil, the black part of your eye, it will get larger or smaller. That's a dilation of your eye. And that's literally what we're using that word for. So it's just one of those transformations, or it's the only transformation, that changes the size. And in the other videos where we went through and we wrote the rule for dilation. So first, let's see, draw the image of the following figure after a dilation centered at the origin with a scale factor of 1/2. So in the other videos, we also talked about this too. If we're dilating by a fraction, so a scale factor of 1/2, that means we're going to take whatever figure they give us and we're going to make it smaller. The reason I know it gets smaller is because 1/2 is smaller than 1. So if the number we're dilating by or the scale factor is smaller than 1, our figure is going to get smaller. If the scale factor is larger than 1, the figure is going to get bigger. So it's just a really quick way to know if things are going to get smaller or bigger. And then down here, they're actually giving us the rule. So what they're telling you is if we have a scale factor of 1/2, we're just going to take our coordinates. So we have 3 points here, and we're going to multiply by 1/2. Remember, multiplying by a fraction is the same thing as dividing by what's on the bottom. If there's a number on the top, you multiply by the number on the top, you divide by the number on the bottom. So don't freak out about fractions. Fractions are just multiplication and division written in a different way. So each one of the points, they go through and they multiply by 1/2 or divide by 2. So 1/2 times 6 is 3. It's the same thing as saying 6 divided by 2 is 3. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So they go through and they do this for each one of the points, and they remap them. So they've got a lot of lines here. We won't have all these lines necessarily. All we'll have is this here. So we'll have to grab the line tool and actually connect them. So let's go ahead and start so that you can see all these pieces working together here. So we draw the image of the following figure after a dilation centered at the origin with a scale factor of 5/3. So is this going to get bigger or smaller? It's going to get bigger. Well, it's a fraction. It is a fraction, but 5 is bigger than 3. So if I write this proper, this is an improper fraction. I get 1 2/3. So I have a 1, and it's bigger than 1 because I also have 2/3. So I know this is going to get larger. Is it a little easier to look at the improper fraction when we're doing this? Yes, and I'll explain why in a moment. So first, we need the 3 points here. I need to know what these coordinates are. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to say, this one I have to go right 6 up to, what is that, 9? So we have 6, 9. The next one I have, and here I'm going to be really fancy and change this up so it's blue so you can see how or follow along with this one. So the next coordinate's going to be in blue here. So I'm going to go right 6 up 6. So I get 6, 6 like this. And then my next coordinate here, let's do this in green. All right, so then this one is green. So I'm going to go over to 9 to the right, up to 6. So I went right 9, up 6. So here are my 3 coordinates. And I want to do a scale factor of 5/3. So that means I'm going to take each one. I have 5/3 times 9, comma, 5/3 times 6. This one does look a little bit meaner than the first one, but it's really not. We're going to multiply across the top and divide. So we have 5 times 9, and we get 45 over 3. And then we're going to do the same thing here. So we have 5 times 6, and we get 30 divided by 3. So multiply first, and then divide. The reason these get multiplied is because this 9 is actually on top of a fraction. There's a 1 under this, and there's a 1 under the 6. There's a 1 under every number you've ever seen. So you always multiply across and then divide. So, and I'm going to write this one down because I didn't give myself enough room here. So our last option here is to divide. So we have 45 divided by 3. So let's see, it goes in once to 4 with 1 left over. And then it goes in 5 times to the 1 and the 5, which is 15. So I just did a little bit of mental division there. Can you use a calculator? Yes. Can you do that with mental math? Of course. Could you also come over here and say 45 divided by 3 and actually write it out and go, oh, it goes into this one time. I have 3. I'm going to bring down the 5. I have 1 left over. And then it goes in 5 times here. And then I don't have anything left over. So could you do that? Of course you could. So, and this I just did in my head real quick because I knew it was 1. And then I would have 1 left over here and I brought the 5 down. So I just did that in my head. All right, 30 divided by 3. So this one is 10. And again, that one's just knowing my multiplication facts. I know that 3 times 10 will get me 30. So do knowing your multiplication facts help in this working out math? Of course it does. Makes things quite a bit faster. All right, so we're going to go 5/3 times 6, comma 5/3 times 9 for this red one. Do you notice anything about this one and this one? 9 and 6, 6 and 9. Are we going to end up with the exact same numbers? Yeah, they're just going to be flipped because 6 is first instead of second, and 9 is second instead of first. So I'm just going to take the answers I got for this one and flip them around. I'm going to have 10 and 15. I'm multiplying the exact numbers again. There's no reason for me to do it twice. All right, and then we have our last one here, which is blue. So we have 5/3 times 6, 5/3 times 6. All right, and I've already done 5/3 times 6. I know 5/3 times 6 gives me 3/30, which is 10. So I'm going to have 10, 10. So now I have my 3 coordinates. I just need to go and map them real quick. All right, so I'm going to come over here, and I have to grab my pencil tool. So my first coordinate is, I'm going to go right 10, up to 15. Boom. And then my second one, I'm going to go right 10, up 10. Boom. All right, the last one here, I'm going to go right 15 and up to 10. And then I need to click this line tool, and I have to connect the lines. Once you connect 2 points, you have to grab it again and connect the next 2 points. And you literally want the shape to look just like it did here. And if I have this one, so I have, here's my blue point, which is 10, 10, just like we wrote out. And then here's my red point, which is 10, 15. That's the top one. And then here's my green one on the bottom here. So the points map out exactly the same. We just have to make sure that we multiply to get the correct answer there. All right. So let's go ahead and go next. I need to clear all this out. Okay. So we need our points here. So I'm going to just start by grabbing my points. So my first one I'll do in green here. So I'm going to go right to 12, up to 10. So 12, 10. Right is positive. That's why I keep saying right and up, because you want to make sure the coordinate system and the coordinate is just mapping. It's directions. I went right 12, up 10. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply this out just because instead of switching my colors a whole bunch of times here. So I know I have a scale factor of 1/2. 1/2 means that it's going to get smaller. So it also means I want to divide by 2. You can still multiply by 1, but nothing changes when you multiply by 1. So as long as there's a 1 on the top, you simply just start dividing by whatever's on the bottom. So 12 divided by 2 and 10 divided by 2. So 12 divided by 2 is 6, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. So here's my first coordinate. So I'm going to go ahead and graph this one. I'm going to go right 6. I'm going to go up 5. So I'll put my dot here and I'll mark it with the actual pen in a minute. This pen tool, sorry. The pen tool I'm using right now is it's an extra extension. It doesn't actually mark, so I can't click check until I use the pencil tool here. All right, so the next one, let's see, we'll do this in kind of a red here. So we end up with, we're going to go right 6, up 10. So right 6, up 10. And then again, we're just taking everything and dividing by 2. That's our rule here. So 6 divided by 2, we get 3. 10 divided by 2, we get 5. All right, so we're going to go right 3, up 5, just like that. There's my second point. Oh, and it looks like the sun just came out. All right, last one. We have this one in blue here. So we're going to go right 12, up to 6. So 12, 6. All right, so we're dividing by 2 again. So 12 divided by 2 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. All right, so then I'm going to go 6 and 3, so right there. Okay, so remember, if you are by chance using an extension like this where you can write on the screen, just go back and make sure that you actually put your points in here. So it's hard to see. I just went and clicked on all of these so that I have my little X in there. And then I actually need to connect them so that I can see my, whoops, I didn't want it right there, so I'm going to hit undo. If you hit X, it actually undoes what you've already done. But if you hit undo, it should just undo your last move there. All right, so we should be good to go now. Let's check it. Yay. All right, next, last one here. All right, so we'll start in blue on this one. So let's start with this one on the top here. So we need our coordinate. We're going to go right 8, up 12. 8, 12. And this time we have a scale factor of 2/3. So we're going to go 3 halves, not 2/3. 3 halves is different than 2/3. So 3 halves actually tells me that this figure is going to get larger because 3 is on the top, it's bigger. So we're going to multiply. 3 over 2. And oops, didn't mean to put a comma there. Times 12. All right, so let's go ahead and multiply first. So 8 times 3, we get 24 over 2. And then we have 3 times 12, we get 36 over 2. All right, so I just multiplied. I multiplied these, and then I put the 2 underneath, so I haven't divided yet. So my last step is to actually divide. 24 divided by 2 is 12, said the answer there. 36 divided by 2 is 18. All right. So this is our first coordinate here. So we're going to go 12 to the right, up to 18. And we want to make sure I put that in the right spot there. Perfect. All right. So now I'm going to switch over here to red. So my next point, let's go ahead and go with this one. So we're going to go right 12, and then we're going to go up 8. So 12, 8. Oh, look at that. Do we notice anything? 12 and 8. They're the exact same coordinates. Am I going to get the exact same thing when I multiply by 3 halves? Of course. But make sure they switch positions. So now I'm going to have 18 and 12. Okay, so don't put 12 and 18 again because 8 was first, 12 was second. Well, now 12 is first, 8 is second. So I need to flip the answer. So I'm just I'm bringing those numbers over, but I'm flipping them because my coordinates, the numbers flip spots. All right, so that saves a little bit of time on multiplication anyway there. So we're going to go over to 18 to the right, and we're going to go up. Whoop, I moved over there, 12. Whoops, no. 12, I didn't go high enough there. I stopped too early. So I'm going to erase this first one. I don't want that one there. Okay, last one here. We'll do this one in green. So green. So I'm going to go right to 6, up to 12. 6, 12. All All right, so we've already multiplied 12. We know what 12 is going to get us 18 when we multiply because we already did it here. We get 36 over 2. 36 divided by 2 is 18. But I'm going to need to do 6. I don't have 6. So I'm going to have 3 halves times 6. I already know I'm going to get 18 when I multiply. So I'm just writing 18 in there just to be a little quicker here. So we have 3 times 6. Remember, multiply. So we have 18 divided by 2. After you multiply, then we can divide. So 18 divided by 2 gives us 9 and 18. All right, so we have our third point. So we have 9 to the right, and then 18 all the way to the top. Did that come out correct? Hold on. Uh-oh, this should have been 10. Ooh, I was lying to you that whole time. See? I grabbed it too quick there. So this is not going to be 18. So we have 3 halves times 10, because that was a 10, not a 12. So I noticed right away because I shouldn't have a flat line on the top here. I don't have a flat line on the top here. So it's just an oops. So 3 times 10 gets me 30, and then I'm going to divide by 2. 30 divided by 2 is 15. So that just changed things a little bit there. All right, so we go to 9, and make sure I'm following it here. 9 and 15. Okay, so that does look quite a bit better there. So I'm going to go put a pencil mark. I'm going to go dot, dot, dot. And I just clicked on it so you can kind of see the X underneath there. I'm going to go line, line, and one more line because we have to connect these into a triangle. So however many lines you see, that's how many times you're going to have to click on the line tool. We're going to check it. And we finished another one. Yay.